guys, Zach with Zach's GT Garage here. Today I figured I'd share a story about my fourth Escort GT, also known as the Cayman package. So here's the original dealership brochure of the Cayman package in 1992 or 1991 and a half, whatever you want to call it. So let's go ahead and go into a little detail that makes the cool, rare factory Cayman option different than the normal GT. So the Escort GT came in two different colors. One was more of a green variant and one was more of a teal blue variant. It was a metallic color that was specific for the Cayman editions only. The wheels are also machine polished with inserts the same color as the exterior, while the normal GT fan blade was just aluminum silver, one color. Then for the interior, you also had the same color teal piping inside the car on the seats and also on the door cards, while the normal GT just had the red piping around the seats no matter what color you got from 91 and 92. Then also you got a high quality leather wrapped steering wheel all the way around, while the GT got the normal some leather with the mesh on the sides. So this is what the car looked like the first time I saw it. A little story on this. I was actually driving around my parents' neighborhood and we were just driving around looking at houses. I happened to just look up at this house and I saw the Cayman Escort GT sitting up there. So a little while later, I finally got the courage to go knock on their door and a lady answered. I'm like, hey, I was just curious, this is going to sound weird, but do you know who owns that Escort GT in the driveway there? And she's like, yeah. I'm like, okay, do you know if they would be ever interested in selling it? And I told her I was kind of a doofus about these cars and that I would really like to buy it. And she's like, yeah, it's actually my car, but yeah, let me talk to my husband and I'll be in contact with you and we'll most likely sell it to you. And I was really excited to hear that. I'm like, all right, awesome. Thank you for your time. Is there anything wrong with the car I need to know about ahead of time? She's like, well, it hasn't run in a long time. And I'm like, okay. And as you can see here in this picture, the last time it was registered was June of the year 2000 due to a bad mass airflow sensor, which is why it didn't run. Then came the day I picked it up and bought it from them, and I was super excited to get it. This was most likely going to be a mostly restoration on this car since it has been sitting for so long, and I was just really excited to get it and bring it back to life and get it running. And also the driver window was also broken into a few years prior to me finding this car, and so that was something else I knew that was going to need to be replaced as well. Then here's what it looks like on the tow truck once it got to my house. It was a Wyoming car, so once it was on the tow truck I looked underneath it and I was really surprised on how well the car had looked for being as old as it was. And there you can see some broken door glass there, but I was excited to get stuff going and start cleaning up this car. And the first thing that I did was ripped out the seats and started vacuuming and cleaning up the interior. And there's what it looked like before, and here's what it looked like after just vacuuming, but I still knew I had a ton of work to clean the interior up to make it look almost brand new, if not brand new. Which brand new, of course, was the goal. Next, I removed the center console, so that way I can go ahead and clean every inch and every corner of the center console and the shifter boot, along with the cup holder insert. Then I went ahead and cleaned where the center console usually is, and then I also cleaned up the headliner, and then I put the center console and the shifter boot back on, knowing I still had to shine and condition the interior so it shines up nicely. Next, I bought a new old stock instrument cluster because the orange gauge needles are normally that orange color, and through time and through the years, it'll fade into a whitish yellow color, and to me, it doesn't look as good as, brand new. So while the speedometer was getting recalibrated and the miles matched to the car, I went ahead and removed the bezel and everything so that way I could start really cleaning really good in every corner of the steering wheel cover where the key lock cylinder is, as well as the bezel where the air vents are. Next, I got some factory new old stock Escort GT floor mats I had been looking for ever since all the other Escorts I owned previous to this car. And I finally got a set, brand new in the box. And for the Cayman edition, the GT actually was the same teal color to match the teal piping in the interior. But this was just good enough. I was happy with it. Next, I did a valve cover gasket, which gave me an opportunity to look and make sure the cams are good, make sure none of the lobes on the camshafts were flat, and also look at everything to make sure everything is good and healthy in the engine. Then after cleaning that up to get ready for the new valve cover gasket, I went ahead and cleaned the valve cover. Next, while I was waiting for the new window to come in, started shining and conditioning the plastics in the interior of the car. That way it looks nice and shiny. Then I also used some special leather cleaner to clean up the steering wheel and just cleaned up the plastic of the instrument cluster. And so far everything looked really good and was going really smooth. Then finally the new door glass came in, so that was really good to get going, and cleaned up the window channels really good and got it lubricated again and just rolled it up and down a few times like here, just to make sure everything is working really smooth, make sure I didn't miss any broken glass in the channels. And everything was working great. I got all the broken glass out of the window channels and inside the door, and it was smooth going up and smooth going down. So I was really happy with how things were going. Next, I was fixing the speedometer cluster because after it got back, it was 10 or 15 miles off. So I went ahead and hooked it up to my drill, so that way the miles on the new instrument cluster matched the exact miles that were on the car. I remember this was kind of fun, and I know I could have probably rolled the miles up by hand, but this way was much faster and a lot more fun. Next, I was still waiting for the new mass airflow sensor to come in, so I figured I'd clean up the factory box and the intake hose. Then after I finished that, I got a new distributor rotor and new distributor cap. Then I really started deep cleaning the interior. I started with the door cards, just really scrubbing and getting them nice and clean. Just really taking my time, making sure the interior comes out as best to new as possible. Then stopped for a little bit just to take a break and look around, make sure I got everything cleaned and shined up really nice, make sure I didn't miss anything. Then I also went ahead and shampooed and cleaned the seat belts. They were brown, but now they are back to the gray color. Then I cleaned up the passenger door card here, and look how nice it looks. Then I went ahead and started on the driver door card, and here's what it looks like before, and here is after. Much, much better. That teal just screams early 90s, and I love it. Then the next thing I did was changed out at least 20-year-old spark plugs and got new spark plug wires as well. By now I was getting excited to get ready and start the car, but still had a few more things left to do, like change out the old fuel sending unit and also clean out the gas tank and all the fuel lines. Then here's after I got the old sending unit out so I could finish cleaning the inside of the gas tank. And if you were ever curious what 20-plus-year-old gasoline looks like, gross. There it is. Luckily, that much was left in the gas tank. Then once the gas tank was all cleaned out and all the fuel lines were cleaned out with 1 gallon of fresh gas, I decided to change the oil. And luckily, if you look there, it's kind of hard to see, but the oil was still looked like brand new oil. So that was really good. And finally, the new mass airflow sensor had come in, and then I also had put in the new sending unit with a new log ring. So now it was time to start it up for the first time in 20 plus years. So now I was super excited it ran. I let it idle for a little bit so that way the oil could pump back up to the top of the engine, and eventually the ticking went away. And while I was doing that, I went ahead and turned on all the lights, make sure all the lights work, fog lights work, headlights work, and they all did, so I was excited about that. Then the next morning I backed it out of the driveway and it moved under its own power for the first time in 20 plus years. And so what I did is I drove it down to the gas station and filled the gas tank all the way up, and then I got it a fresh, clean car wash. And I know it still doesn't look all that great because it was outside, I believe, for the last 5 years before I got it. And this was back in 2020, so 5 years ago. But anyway, I was still super excited how the car looked after it was washed. It still shined up nice and looked so much better than it did before the car wash. And the only thing that looked kind of was the hood, but everything else shined up and looked completely great. Then the next thing I worked on was cleaning and shampooing the carpets and the seats. And after that, the interior was going to be completely clean and done. It was looking good so far. And here's how the new floor mats look inside the car. And here's how the back seats turned out after I was done. It was looking really good. And even the front floorboards up there, which is pretty tough because sometimes those get horribly stained. Even got the back of the seats all clean. And then here's how the front seats turned out. And this is what the water looked like after just doing the front and the back seats, and the carpet was the same color. And here's how the interior looks once I was done. I thought it looked so good, and with those factory GT floor mats, it looks that much better. And I also cleaned the automatic seatbelt latch up there where you can see that red button. Got those all nice and clean, and then I also re-greased the track on the automatic seatbelts for the passenger and the driver front, because through the years the grease will dry up and that's how they get stuck, and then the motor will burn out by trying to move and slide the cable with the automatic seatbelt latch, and the grease is all dried up, and so it gets stuck and the motor just burns itself out, and that's how those go out. But if you re-grease the track like I do every 5-10 years, then these seatbelts should last a long time as well. Then the next thing to do was new struts and suspension. So I got the car all jacked up and put them on jack stands, and then I started taking the old suspension out. And here's how it looks when I got it out. It literally just fell apart. And here's what it looks like once the strut is out. And while I was at it, I was just going to do new brakes as well. And yes, those are the rear rotors on the front because I just put them on just to hurry and take a picture. I did not leave the rear rotors on the front. One of the rears just happened to be right next to me, and I just grabbed it and threw it on to take a picture. And then with new struts and new brakes, that's what all looks like once I was done. And yes, those are 93 GT wheels on there. I happened to get a set with pretty much new tires, and at the time I didn't have the extra money to put new tires on the Cayman wheels. So what I ended up doing, back then I just had the 93 GT wheels on it. Then here's how it looked once I was done. And yes, I could have used the Cayman wheels still and drove on them, but it honestly wasn't safe because those tires were so old. They had pretty decent sized cracks on the sidewalls, and that was just asking for a blowout. It was honestly risky driving it from my house to down the street to the gas station for the first time when I went to go wash it. Then the next morning, after getting the alignment done, I took it to the gas station to get a drink, and then I took the car back home. So far, I was enjoying just driving the car around the neighborhood, and then I took it to work one time. Once I got the car to pass the emissions, which passed the first time, which was pretty amazing. I wasn't expecting that. And then took it to work a few times and took these cool pictures of the sunset. One time after I was finishing and getting done with work, just really enjoying getting to drive the car around and really enjoy it. And then sometime later, I ended up selling it. Even with the 93 GT wheels, I should have kept, but it was going to go to a good owner. And the only reason I was selling it is because I finally had the opportunity to buy a red 93 GT that I still have. And it's the car I've wanted all along, which kind of sucked because this was a fun car. It was really fun to work on it and bring it back to life and get it running and driving again. And the new owner also did get the original Cayman wheels too, but it was fun to have the car. And now my buddy that bought my blue 91 GT still has it right now. He just recently bought it. And that's it for this story. I really hope you enjoyed the video.
Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe if you'd like, and stay tuned for more Mustang and Escort GT content.